Okay, we are live.
Hi, everyone. Welcome. Mm. Yeah, feeling aliveness as I'm here and starting to talk to you. I want to warmly welcome you. I'm really excited to share something with you today, Forrest. Wilson and I.
Yeah, hey everyone. We're here and we are excited to share with you that we are officially announcing the beginning of our program, Light in Action. This is the next iteration of Light in Action is what I want to say. If you've been around Light in Action and been around our emerging future in the last couple of years, you might know a little bit of what we're up to. And I'm especially excited and grateful to have you here today, Deborah,
Mm.
and to welcome you in as, yeah, facilitator and someone who I just feel complete resonance with inviting in to hold this field and this project and this journey with me. So I want to introduce you to everyone, and um,
Mm.
I suppose you're introducing me to people as well. Uh,
Absolutely. Yeah.
yeah. So yeah. Uh, I have a sense today's going to be a shorter one. We have an intention to go live tomorrow where we might dive a little deeper.
Mhm.
But just to say a couple of things about where the inspiration for this program comes up and what really lights me up about this opportunity and why, Deborah, you're here being someone holding this field and this container with me. So yeah, so with Light in Action, we see that at the truth of who we all are, at the very core, at the very center, is clear light. And Light in Action was birthed out of the passion of bringing the light that we are into the world and into relationship with other human beings, with the marketplace, with our contribution and our purpose and our relationships, with our bodies and the way that we move through reality. So yeah, Light in Action is an invitation for people who are playing in the real world and it's not an unreal world, but the unseen worlds, the mystical worlds, the worlds of spiritual development and awakening and healing and meditation, to be able to bring these two worlds together. So if you're someone who is passionate about showing up in the world and making an impact, if you're someone who is passionate about bringing your gifts in service to experiencing the beauty that you are and being of service to others and the planet and thriving for life and our planet right now. And if you're someone who feels like you just have a little bit more of a desire to have a blend between the worlds of contributing in society, contributing in the marketplace, contributing in your work, and also experiencing and embodying deep fundamental well-being and inner peace, and feeling like you don't need to sacrifice your well-being to make money, and you don't have to spend all your money to get back your well-being, that actually the way we make money can be of service to our well-being and help us feel more alive and energized, and the well-being that we embody and bring into the world can support our livelihood and our contribution and the gifts that we have to share with others. Then Light in Action is probably something you're going to be very interested in. So that's a little bit of a share on where the
Mm.
inspiration comes from and what I'm excited about. And yeah, Deborah, why are you interested in something like this? What in what I'm sharing is is sticking out to you?
I really like when you speak about, like, to me, it feels like closing the gap. We say, like, oh, on the one hand, people are working, making money. On the other hand, many of us are into personal development, spirituality, meditation, being really present and embodied. And then for a lot of people, I had the same experience in the past. It's like, oh, but they're not, you know, I'm not experiencing them at the same time. Like, I'll go to work and maybe I'll have to push more, hustle, maybe it's hard to stay in my body, and then after work I do different things, and I've just seen many people struggle with that gap, and it seems like the longer we spend time in personal development work and get closer to ourselves and get really clear on on like what brings us aliveness and joy, the more doing things that actually don't match that can just, it's kind of like, oh, it just doesn't work. um yeah, and I think that that's something that excites me a lot, because I'm passionate about bringing those together so that we can live more integrated lives, basically, because as long as that split's there, then that's just painful, I would say. Yeah. Mm.
I noticed your shoulder when you said the word clear, and I want to speak to the what happens for me hearing the word clear, which is how hard it can be to get clear in this process of, in my experience, we're stepping into and inviting people into something that has never quite been modeled and has never quite existed on planet Earth. How do I deepen into fundamental well-being, continue to develop in my healing and spiritual and awakening and evolutionary journeys, while also having more money, more impact, experiencing more than enoughness, and
Mhm.
moving through the world in a way that feels increasingly vital and alive and palpably sexy. Uh, how do these things all become one clear unfolding? And so what feels so energizing for me is that we're actually doing this together. This is a collective journey, and that's quite enlivening for me. So much of this work and this exploration is typically done in one-on-one contexts, in therapy offices, or in working with a purpose coach or some kind of life coach, a career coach. And
Mhm.
we, people like you and me, and people who are interested in things like light and action, have oftentimes done a lot of this work, done a lot of the individual work, a lot of the meditation, journaling, retreats. And this is an opportunity to actually come together in a larger group setting and say, hey, what's possible from here? And what does reality look like as more and more of us come together from this place and relate in this way? What might the world look like? What might the marketplace look like? And how do we share our gifts in service with each other in a way that we continue to nurture this quality of being? And the word
Yes.
clear, yeah, go for it.
Yeah, something that comes up for me as well is you say like, oh, the structure is different. So many people have like worked one-on-one. And I would say in this type of container that we're offering, it's also not a top-down like teacher-student structure. Like we will be teaching and guiding. And I think part of why I'm excited to be here is that I feel very much seen, not just seen and welcome, but actually really invited in my sovereignty to kind of like be bigger and take up my full space. And I know that will offer the same to people. So it's like it's not a structure where like a teacher is listening and then the group kind of a teacher speaking, I mean, and the group listens and takes it in and implements it. No, we're actually sitting and like really welcoming and inviting the aliveness and wisdom that's already present in
Mhm.
every single one of us, and kind of supporting and giving that what it needs to flourish in the world and to be powerful and expressed, and allowing, I would say, the space to play as well, right? Yeah, and that's what excites me a lot.
Yeah,
I mean, warm.
yeah, it's so
Yeah.
beautifully said. The we often use the word collective intelligence, like the wisdom in all of us coming together to support all of us thriving more
Mhm.
fully. And I just appreciate you naming the hierarchical dynamic of teacher and student. And yes, there are things we'll be teaching and things we're inviting, and also we're playing this game full out, you and me. And so we're really saying, hey, like this is what we're up to. This is after all the years of work that you and I have done, all the trainings, personal development work, cultivating our capacities as professionals to support people with this work. It keeps inviting us to get bigger. It keeps inviting us into more nuanced and refined explorations. And that doesn't stop as we're offering this program. Actually, this program's a byproduct of that unfolding and saying, hey, here's what's happening. Is this a flow? Is this a unfolding? Is this a process you'd like to be a part of? And let's do this together.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's beautifully said. Like that's already happening. I think since I stepped in, which is, I think it's only a week ago or 10, I don't know, but it feels like a lot's been changing and shifting in me, in my embodiment, in my life, just and really quickly, where I'm like, oh, we're in this field, it's already happening, it's here. And we'd love to invite a lot of you in. Yeah.
Yeah, there's just so much beauty and richness in this that I want to flesh it out a little bit more. So, I mean, you and I have known each other a year now, I want to say, maybe not even. Uh,
It's
yeah,
not,
not even a
but
year.
it,
Yeah, time is
no.
silly. Um, um, yeah, and have been in connection in different ways. And then about 10 days ago, whatever happened, there was a moment where I don't know who said what, but it was something like it just became evident to both of us that you're going to be involved in this program and support facilitating with it. We both were getting clarity and almost like a download or an insight that it would be right to have you come on board. And you've mentioned, number one, the beauty of that process, right? Like the clarity just becoming evident to us being in relationship, that this is how things are going to go. And you've mentioned several times what's happened in the last 10 days since that's occurred. And I wonder if you might speak to that a little bit more because yeah, I wonder if you might speak to that a little bit more.
Yeah, feels kind of juicy. I also want to name because you said a bit earlier, like, oh, it's embodied, it's sexy. When you said that, I felt a bit more invited out, and it's important to me because for me it's quite natural to be in my body, to be sensual, to also as I work with people and I'm in more in business contexts to let that happen. And even on this call now, I'm like, oh, there's something professional, right? We're offering something of very high quality. We want to invite people in, and there's something in me that's like, oh, can I also like be really alive and relaxed and so like that's something I love and actually think is really powerful. I think we need that aliveness in work contexts and in all of our lives and not just on the weekend, um, which is not what you just asked. I just followed my aliveness there for a second, as I tend to do. Yeah. Um,
I want to say one thing in that, which it just as I'm hearing you, what it evokes
okay.
in me is what it evokes in me is typically a lot of my one-on-one clients, for example, are people who are running companies, have founded and sold a couple of startups and are shifting more into what am I really here to do in this lifetime? What is truly my calling and how I want to contribute? And there's nothing that's not connected in that question, right? People come and ask this kind of question in a relationship with me, and it brings up how we parent our children, our romantic relationship, our relationship with something beyond life itself, beyond the lifetime that we're going to live. It can kick off a lot of existential crises of what's the meaning of life? Why are we here? Who am I? What's the purpose of all of this? It can invite us into deep ethical questions of how we want to relate with our experience and walk through the world. And so there's, and it brings up our body, right? Like how we um, interface with our experience and with our body. So for me, it's amazing to see that when we get to this point of asking these bigger questions as one doorway, that it opens up everything, right? There's nothing that's not connected. We can't change anything without changing everything. And my passion is supporting people who are starting to get to this point and get to these questions and bringing groups of us together who are in these questions together. It feels like there's something possible here that's far beyond an individual awakening process, but actually taking through collectives and systems and cultures and ways of being through a collective opening and a collective stabilization process from a different ground. I don't know if this language makes any sense, but um, I feel very deeply connected to a world where all of us can embody and emanate our gifts into the universe and experience deep well-being and a sense of being deeply connected with life and with our experience, and really have just a higher quality life, have a higher quality uh, maybe you have the words.
Yeah, I would say higher quality everything.
Yeah, yeah. Like I get my actually it's like my mouth gets kind of active, like I salivate a little bit more. It's like, you can eat food that's kind of stale and not that nutrient dense and whatever, like you just sort of eat to get through life. But you can also, like, I'm in Costa Rica right now. You can also go get a mango that's fresh off fresh off of Mother Nature herself and eat it and have like juice dripping off your face. And it's like, this is the best mango I've ever had in my life. And that metaphor of like a big fat juicy mango is like what I'm talking about for life. It's like in our intimate relationships, in our moment to moment experience, and how we offer our work in the world. We can have this sort of stale, like, yeah, I'm just checking the boxes or going through the motions and like existing, or we can have a deeply juicy, nutrient dense, vivacious, palpably alive experience. And that's available to all of us in every moment in relationship with our life. And that's what I want to invite people into in increasing amounts, increasing levels. It's worth it, in my opinion.
Yeah, and it's like you say, it's worth it. And there's like joy and lightness in the space, right? And what I also feel is like a seriousness in my heart. And it's like, and it's our birthright. It's not just, it's worth it. Like, oh, that would be fun. But I'm like, that juicy mango, that level of full aliveness, expression, feeling nourished, taking your space up in the world. It's our birthright. Like every single one of us. Yeah. It feels a bit tender in my face as I say it. Like I feel that I like just care about that.
Yeah, I was on a call yesterday with someone who's interested in our program. It was like someone who came to an interest call about Light in Action, and then was basically signing up, like I guess I would say. And he was saying, I read things and experience things and I get the concept of them. Like, for example, we had a call recently, the group interest call, and the topic of the war in Israel and Palestine came up. And he was sharing with me that it's one thing to go through life and read the news articles and get a conceptual understanding of things that are happening in the world. But it's very different to be invited into the opportunity to actually feel what it's like to be in relationship with the world.
Yeah, I feel like I'm impacted like viscerally as you speak, also because, as you know, I have family in Israel. And what comes to me is that there's a part of leadership that we develop by actually being present with these realities as we relate with each other one on one and in group spaces, which is that we practice the capacity to be with reality as it is, also when it's challenging. So um, this is not the type of personal development work where we only go towards the juicy mango, you know. We're like, we only go towards what we absolutely cultivate love and light and ecstasy, your capacity to be with that. And we also cultivate your capacity to be with pain and with grief and with loss. And I think that's really important, because if we're not able to be present with that, we can't be in leadership when it comes up, right? We will maybe freeze or move away, or um, lose ourselves in coping mechanisms. But when we train to be with that intensity of like, oh my God, there's a war. Like, I'm scared, I'm angry, I'm hurt, I don't know what to do. When we practice being with that, like in connection with others, and we grow capacity in our nervous systems, we can actually be in life and, in my perspective, become more powerful leaders and take action, whatever that may be. And I want to emphasize, like, I see leadership as something very broad, not just people in leadership positions as we see that. But also, I see everyone as a leader. You know, it can be a housewife, someone taking care of the kids, or high school teacher. But leadership to me is like, how do you lead yourself and move and speak and feel in every moment of your life? And so, with that perspective, everyone's a leader. And I'm honestly very passionate about people becoming more powerful leaders in their own right. Yeah, I think we need that. Taking a breath, I'm like, oh, I didn't I didn't
Yeah,
expect I was gonna go there right now.
me
That
neither.
happened.
That happened. And I love we've used the language of life leadership as a frame, as a potential way to frame what we're doing with Light in Action. And life leadership, or a leadership program for becoming an adult, being an adult in the world. And yeah, I just love what you said about increasing our capacity, both our upper limit and our lower limit, to be with what is, to be able to be with the suffering and the grief and the loss and the despair and the turmoil, in addition to increasing levels of bliss and joy and awe and wonder, and really being able to experience a more full spectrum of experience itself, and to be able to be present with what is without needing to turn away or dissociate or numb, really just be able to be with the sensations that we're experiencing and what's happening in this moment. It's,
Yeah, exactly.
and it feels like this is the true invitation for leaders in the world right now. As you said, leaders means everyone. And the invitation for leaders is to be able to be more fully with what is, to be here now, present for this moment. And the more present we are, the more available we are for what's happening now. To me, it's just like unfathomable what's here. I mean, I certainly can remember a time where I was walking through the world sort of in my stories and in my thoughts. And the more I've, yeah, just come into the moment, I suppose it's like, wow, it's unfathomable how much is here and happening in the eternity of now, in the eternity of right now. So
Mm.
it also feels like a homecoming, like a welcoming home back into the body, back to this moment that's being invited here, a welcoming home into our true nature, our most essential self. And
Yeah.
that can be such a healing and holing process, holing with a W.
Yeah, that reminds, I mean, it relates to some of my experience that I've been having since I stepped in like 10 days ago or something. And there's a lot I could say. So I feel like quite abundant right now, where I'm like, oh, there's all these different things here. Like what shall I pick? But one of them that comes up as you say it is that, and I was explaining this to a friend who was like, wait, you're are you going back and forth, or are you having this at the same time? And I was like, no, I'm having this simultaneously, where on the one hand I feel like I'm landing in my power and being an expression, and it's big, it's huge. I'm just like, it's growing by coming to this field with you. And then at the same time, I'm becoming way more calm, like more relaxed. I don't think I was very stressed before, but there's definitely a deepening in my peace. Like I'm just more focused, less bothered. And I'm having these two, which seem maybe a little bit like a paradox, but I'm having them at the same time. And I find that quite beautiful, where it's like, oh, I can actually get more done, have more impact in the world, have a bigger positive influence. And in a way, it feels like I'm doing less, getting more relaxed. And that feels, it touches me as I say it. It feels important and essential because I think also within the personal development world, there we haven't gotten rid of that hustle culture fully, right? Like when I see people building businesses, there's still that sense of like, oh, I'm gonna fight to get more clients. I'm gonna push a little more. I'm gonna, get up earlier and be productive. And like even as I speak it now, like I'm like my body's like, oh, just like I'm like, that's just not the thing, guys. Like it's just not. I don't think that's the way forward. And that's what I appreciate about coming in here, where it seems like there's like a natural clicking in where it's like, oh, all right, what was I thinking? I don't need to do that faster, harder, stronger thing that seems to be based in the idea that whatever's here is not good enough. It's just not true. And I experienced that being around you in a very easy way. Like it just dissolves. It's just like, oh.
It's a sweet moment for me because I can feel how much in receiving you I want to respond. And I have a sense, I mean, I know you and I are going to do another live tomorrow, or at least that's the tentative agenda for Life's Unfolding. We'll see what happens. But yeah, something in me is like, okay, this feels like a nice invitation, a nice welcoming, and there's so much more to unpack and explore in further conversations publicly and also in the container that we're inviting. So feels to me like a nice, juicy pause, like pregnant pause point.
Yeah, seems perfect to me. I agree.
So if you've made it this far, then I mean, if you've made it this far, I definitely invite you to go to ouremergingfuture.com and check out our website. There's a WhatsApp community that you can join that's got, in this moment, I don't know, over 100 people who are passionate about what we're speaking about. We have regular community calls and a bunch of different groups that you can get involved with. We have gatherings happening this summer in Europe in June, July, August, and in Australia in the fall. All kinds of good things happening. But feel free to go to ouremergingfuture.com, check out the WhatsApp group, and click on the Light in Action tab. And check out our program. There's buttons to press and links to press if you're curious and inspired and want to learn more. I'm happy to jump on a call with you. I imagine Deborah's happy to jump on a call with you and chat about whether this is an opportunity you want to take part in. Just so you know, for anyone who's interested and wants to explore more, the calls that we have are like a resonant, like, what am I wanting to say here? Essentially, when we get on a call to explore whether or not you want to participate in our program, we don't actually have an intention to sell you something. We're getting on the call with you and exploring if what we're offering is what's best for you right now, and whether where you are is going to be best supported by what we're offering. So it's more of an emergent discovery process in relationship with you. And if you feel like it's a fit and we feel like it's a fit, we'll move forward. If we feel like something else might be more supportive, we'll offer you that. And honor, of course, if you're not feeling like it's a good fit. So I just want to name that. You can really have a nice chat without feeling like we're going to pressure you and manipulate you into doing something you don't want to do or might not be best for you. So anyway, I'm probably done for the day. Is there anything you want to share, Deborah, before we pause for now?
No, I'm just feeling gratitude for anyone who's here and watching us. And yeah, really welcome to anyone who wants to have a chat about this. That's it for now.
I will say one more thing, which is that you're welcome to join this program whenever the moment feels right for you. This is a rolling enrollment, so we're not, the start date is now, essentially, and you can join at any moment, where it's not like you have to be in before a certain date and then we're going to start. The program's starting now. People are enrolling right now, and you're welcome to join when the moment feels right, feels good for you.
Yeah, and I just want to add to that because I think there's a beauty there. Let's say you feel called right now. You're like, oh my God, that speaks to me. And there are things in that make it so that you're not resourced enough right now. Then you could also build your resources and then come in 3 months and join us, right? So there's no time pressure with that.
Yeah, it's more about the right time, like the capital R right time. So there's like for me, capital R right time is like the divine moment, the right moment, the moment when something's meant to happen. And so is that moment now? Is that moment in another moment? Happy to be in relationship with you and support you in getting clarity on that.
Exactly. And we're building a field that's getting stronger and deeper and more powerful. So you're welcome to join that now or later, right?
Okay. Thank you all. Thanks for being you. Thanks for being the light that you are in the world. Sending you a
Thank
lot
you,
of
everyone.
love.
Talk to you soon.
See you.